Hi, I'm Stephanie Burt. Just like some who've come before me, I eat, I travel, I write, and I talk. Boy, do I talk. But I also listen too. And these are some of the stories I hear and experience around the Southern table. They are rooted in personal and cultural history, resonance with seasonality and the living environment, and a passion for high-level craft that in its pursuit offers the possibility of sustenance from one hand to another. Let's dig in. 'Tis the season for gifts, and I promise you that when it comes to some of the small gifts that routinely show up in my life, oysters are among them. A dozen pristine oysters on the half shell served with a mignonette or a simple wedge of lemon never ceases to make me feel blessed in some real, tangible, life is good way. They've also inspired many a boat trip for research out with oystermen. From the freezing exhilaration of a Chesapeake morning as a snowstorm approached, to the recent afternoon I spent in the Ace Basin with Lowcountry native and lifelong waterman Trey McMillan of Lowcountry Oyster Company. It was a high cloud, blue sky day, surrounded by the marsh grasses glowing like golden wheat against the deep blue of tidal creeks. Surrounding the Ashepoo, Combahee, and Edisto rivers, the 1.6 million acre Ace Basin watershed is one of the largest areas of undeveloped ecosystems remaining on the Atlantic coast. This remarkable interlocking web of ecosystems includes forested uplands and wetlands, extensive tidal marshes, managed wetlands, and barrier islands. Rice plantations once dotted the Ace Basin. It now supports important habitats for waterfowl, migratory birds, seafood, and endangered species, as well as 33 types of natural plant communities. I really would like to anchor our conversation here in the Ace Basin because it is these waters that really make this possible.
By all means. I try to tell people that we just give them a safe haven to do what they usually do anyways.
Right. We were talking about this off mic, and when you're out here, it takes 15 minutes by boat to get to the leases, the first lease, and you have 3. And then it takes time to pull those out, to process those, to bring them back. So this is such a time suck. Yeah. Right? Just the time of transportation. You offer both delivery and online sales. So why is it worth it to be out here in the middle of quote, quote, nowhere? Although there's a lot of people here doing the job.
Yeah. To me, it was pretty important for scalability. It's something that you can't necessarily do in a confined space. You can, but you're limited to space. Where we're at down in the Ace Basin, there's no development. There's no big power plants. There's no, water treatment facilities. There's none of that to where you have runoff. It's a lot of open space with very, very clean, good water for growing oysters. Not only oysters, just the ecosystem all around this area is beautiful. It's thriving. Yes.
And the estuaries and, the what I like to call the fish nursery that is the salt marsh is very much alive and well. And I know that oyster beds can be closed because of things like runoff. And so what you're saying is that's not happening here.
In all the years, so we're coming up on 10 years of growing oysters, we've been closed twice from rainfall. And we've been reopened within 24 hours. I cannot say that for anywhere, Charleston, Bulls Bay, that whole area, just because of all the runoff. That's what it comes down to.
It's about development. But It does add hours of transport time a day, right?
It does.
Yeah, you put some miles on the car.
If it were easy, everyone would do it though,
That's right. Trey's oysters are available by mail order and wholesale, and his trademarked oyster, Lowcountry Cups, are a frequent presence on menus throughout the South. Before we get into the specifics of this special oyster, though, I had to know how all of this began. This is a very specific thing to get into. and a decade ago, there was not the rise of the oyster bar yet. It really started about 5 years ago, deep in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine not having a raw seafood program at a lot of restaurants now, both seafood centric and not. So why did you settle on the oyster?
I don't really have an answer to that, to be honest with you. My previous career, I was a professional fisherman, so my background is on the water, boats, that sort of stuff. Obviously, growing up in the Lowcountry, I grew up around an oyster table with my family, my granddad, and it was an opportunity that I saw to where I was like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's two things that I know about. Not necessarily the single oysters, but oysters in general. And it just got way bigger than I ever imagined very quickly. And, and I don't know where the limit is. And I'm a kind of guy that just kind of
keep going.
You just keep going. Yeah. You're just going to ride this. We'll see where we go. I don't really know where we're going, but we're going somewhere.
Were you a commercial fisherman for specific species, or were you a variety, or were you for charter boats? Charter captain.
I did some charter fishing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The last bit of my career, probably the last 10 years of my career, were all private boat stuff for tournament circuits, different tournament circuits. It could be a single tournament, or it could be a 5 tournament series over the course of a month. So it all kind of depended on the season, where we were, the East Coast, the Caribbean, Costa Rica, just wherever, all over. So we did a bunch of billfish tournaments.
So when you're getting into oysters and you make the decision, I'm going to do oysters, and we're about to get in the weeds for some nerdy discussion here, because I love that. Where did you learn this? Did you take courses? Did you read books? Tell me.
No, none of that.
None of that? You're like, no, I'm on the water.
No, and that's what it was. It was, I tell people this all the time. I have no problem admitting it. I'm probably the least educated that does this out of a lot of very successful people. My success has been from the ability of fixing things and foreseeing problems and kind of taking care of those problems before they became very, very big problems.
Because we talked a lot about like the calibration. You're calibrating at all time. There's a lot of equipment that you're looking at. You're looking at yields. You're looking at the growth, and you were showing me the shell. And so that's where you're saying that your brain goes to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My brain, it's a wild place up there. I'll tell you that. It's it never stops. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
right.
There's a lot of numbers and stuff running through there.
Despite the differently shaped oyster shells a diner encounters, ranging in size and depth from blades to cups to wide flats, all oysters on the eastern North American continent are the same species, Crassotria virginica. We have all of these eastern oysters, but they don't all look the same. They look very different. And only when I started getting into this did I realize that currents and rainfall and human hands really change the shape of the oyster shell. So, the Lowcountry Cup, would you explain what it is?
It is, in my eyes, a perfect teardrop shape that is, we're going to go to some numbers here.
Do it.
About 2.85 inches long with a 53% width to length ratio.
Okay. Well, when you're farming, that's what you're taking to market, right?
That's our bread and butter. That is the Lowcountry Cup. The staple of our existence is that shape, length, depth ratio. And it's a pretty deep cupped oyster. So when you set it on like a bed of plate or like sea salt or something, it doesn't topple over. It stays.
And it holds that oyster liquor.
It
right?
absolutely does.
Which adds to the overall lovely experience of eating one of them. How do you talk the oyster into growing that way?
A lot of manipulation. It starts in the nursery, really. We handle them literally every day in the nursery. So they get rinsed or sieved or sorted. We actually have this, we call it a baby shaker. It's like a big metal table that shakes them all up. And it doesn't stop from there. Once they go to the farm from the nursery, about every 6 weeks, they get brought back in, run through machinery. They get tumbled, they get graded, they get rebagged, taken back out. It's a pretty long, strenuous process. So
it takes about a year.
Yeah.
Right? From what is called the seeds, and then to the market. Correct?
Yep.
And that is 2.85, 53%. That's all I can do. That's all I got. When you're an oyster eater growing up, and especially here in the Lowcountry, I mean, we know clusters from the oyster roast, right? And I know you still deal in some clusters, some natural clusters as well. But what about the cup creatively attracted you? Because you had to be like, okay, we're going to go for this.
Yeah. They didn't always look like that. I'll admit, it's definitely something that is being crafted all the time. I feel like we're just cutting our teeth. We're always looking at ways to improve. But it was pretty simple, really. You go to a restaurant and you don't see a bunch of clusters sitting on a raw bar. You see a bunch of really pretty singles, and I was like, our oysters are really good here, like worldly good. They weren't very attractive. To us, they are, but to somebody not from here, they have no idea what a cluster of oysters is.
Right. Or how to get into it.
Yeah. It's like this whole like cultural thing for the Lowcountry is an oyster cluster.
And it's a scent as well.
Yeah.
The roast.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. There's nothing else like it. Nothing that I know of anyways.
No. It's an acquired scent. Acquired scent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of element of pluff mud in there.
That's the glue that holds the world together.
That's right. That's right. In 2024, Lowcountry Oyster Company raised more than 3 million oysters for the market, but that was way down from what had been projected. Floodwaters flow to the ocean, and Trey and his team lost around 5.5 million market-ready oysters from Hurricane Helene impacts.
It was the aftermath of the hurricane when they started opening up all the dams from the mountains down to drain all the water. About 2 weeks after the storm went by, that's when it wiped us out. So
that's runoff.
Yeah. That's what you don't want. And that was my first experience with it, which only solidified my decision of coming down here to get away from that.
Right.
That can't be a repeatable thing.
No, you can't build a business on that.
You can't.
Yes.
No
So
way.
I know people will ask, I mean, it's raining, it's cold, it's snowy. You still have to be out here, right?
Yeah, you just bring your raincoat. Put 2 pairs of socks on.
I'll wave at you from the dock. Yes, but they have to be maintained. Especially the seed room has to be maintained 7 days a week, right?
Absolutely, it's a never-ending process.
So, do you have any appetite for oysters any longer?
Absolutely.
Yes,
I love them. It's a lot like wine. They every oyster is different everywhere they're grown. Like you were mentioning earlier, the styles of farming are different. So they look different. They taste different. There's no good or bad oyster. It's, it's all up to preference, kind of like the same grape for wine. They're both Merlot grapes, but they're grown 10 miles apart and they taste totally different.
So can you explain the Lowcountry Cup taste?
Chef John Ondo out at Kiowa probably puts it the best. He says it's like kissing a mermaid. It's a very salty upfront punch, really. It's pretty heavy salinity, and it's finished very clean. And that's solely because of where we're at. Our location's very clean. It's almost like a sweet finish to it. And I know a lot of people say this, but it really is kind of like chicken stock. It's kind of what it finishes like to me. So it's pretty a dynamic flavor, really.
Are you a mignonette or a cocktail sauce person?
Mignonette.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
I like the mignonette because I feel like I can still taste all of those tasting notes.
It adds to it. It doesn't smother it.
Right.
And not saying that cocktail is bad or whatever. I
usually put a couple cocktails. If I get a dozen oysters, I like to mix it up. So I'll put a few just lemon, at least one plain because I always want to taste
Absolutely.
the oyster. And then a couple mignonette, a couple horseradish. I
Mhm.
like just straight horseradish. I can't say it. And then cocktail sauce. So mignonette is the way to go for you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do. We have a barbecue mignonette that's pretty killer.
Well, I'm going to have to get some of that.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. Okay, we're 10 years in and you're looking back. Would you choose another variety? Would you go shrimp instead of oysters this time? No.
I wouldn't change a thing, honestly.
Yeah. Have you enjoyed the science of it?
I have. I've enjoyed the challenge of it. It's very challenging. And that really comes out, I'm the kind of person that if you put a book in front of me and tell me to read it and I should be able to fix a TV, it's not happening.
Right.
But if you put a TV in front of me, it's broken in a screwdriver, I'll either break it even more or it will be fixed.
That's great. That's great.
So I'm just the kind of person that's very hands-on. Having that, it was a challenge. It's been a challenge from day one, and it's been a challenge that I've really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds like the aspect of what aspect of your personality meshes like a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
That means on-the-job training. We call that in educational circles, you're an experiential learner. So you have to learn by doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
By all means.
What is the number one thing that you've learned about oysters or about this style of farming or about the environment?
Densities. It's all about densities. How many oysters you put into a bag for the growth rate, the growth shape, the yield. It's all, when it comes down to it, all comes out to not overcrowding oysters, which you need space for. You gotta have a lot of space.
Right.
And it makes a world of difference. When we first move them from the nursery out, it's between 5,000 and 10,000 per bag.
Okay. And then we go down eventually to how many per bag?
Final market is about 1,200 per cage. So you're going from between 30 and 60,000 per cage to 12, maybe 1,500 if we're running out of space.
Well, you haven't even found the ceiling for this, and you have more places that you can put cages. So what is making you hungry? What's the part of the puzzle, the challenge that is really capturing your imagination right now?
Not only the sustainability of it, like it's something I truly believe in. I believe in feeding Americans across the United States on a very small footprint. When they built New York, I'm sure they didn't, have plans to build it a sprawling city. So they started building it up, and that's kind of what we're doing. We're using the entire water column. So instead of building out, we're building, in our case, down. So we're using all 15 feet of water rather than just the top 5 or the bottom 2 or whatever it may be.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a neat way to think about it, actually.
Yeah.
What is next? Doing more of that column? Building?
Yeah. That, and we're always looking to advance. Like, how can we advance our product? How can we advance our handling systems to better our product? How can we transport our product to get it, from point A to point B?
Because it is hot.
Yeah.
Can't get real hot here.
It gets hot here. And so it's, there's so many things that go into it, and you can't just become complacent with one thing. You have to always be looking how you can improve.
Yes, absolutely. That aspect of your job is the experiential learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So what is something that's keeping you up at night besides your children and all the things that they bring home in the fall?
Yeah.
We're both struggling a bit from allergies today.
Yeah. It's been a struggle for sure. Something that keeps me up at night, numbers, definitely numbers. And it's not, it's yields. What is it actually worth for us to go and fill these boats up with all these oysters? I mean, you're talking about, we're doing things on scales of millions. We're not doing hundreds, it's millions.
Right.
And so to make all that work, it's a constant number kind of chasing itself around. How many can I put here and there and everywhere else?
How many people do I need to do that?
How many people do I need to do it? How many can we actually run through our machinery in a day? When we started looking to expand our company 3-4 years ago now, we were basically rebuilding the company from the bottom up, but with bigger stuff. Like literally boat trailers were snapping on the boat ramp because there was too much weight on it. So we had to buy a new trailer, but twice the size. So it's not like, we were getting all this really new cool stuff. It was the same stuff, just bigger.
Right.
Be able to support the numbers that we were doing. And so it's definitely that keeps me up at night. The execution of it, I guess I should say. Like, how can we execute to get more numbers?
Well, eventually you have to allow other people to know that stress as well in order to grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't just lay at night and be like, okay, I've got to work this out by myself, right?
Oh, if you only knew how many boats I built when I was sleeping.
Yeah, I'm not a great sleeper myself. But I am a huge oyster fan, and I have enjoyed my share of Lowcountry Cups through the years, thanks to you. I love this oyster. I'm really grateful to spend time with you today. And this is the last question that I ask of every Southern Fork guest, and it is my magic picnic basket question. So instead of a death row meal, I want to bring you some things in a picnic basket that will bring you life. So with this basket, it's magic, you know. I can time travel. I can go back and ask anybody to make one more bite of something you want. I can source a little bit, and I can also cook a little bit. I would love to put together some things in a basket. I know it shifts and changes with the seasons, especially with the access to all the great restaurants that you have access to as a purveyor. So what are some things that I can get for you and put in there?
There's this stuff called peanut butter playful dough.
Okay.
I don't know.
It
was my grandma used to make it, and it was basically peanut butter, but it was like Play-Doh.
Yes.
So as a kid, she would make it for us. I have no idea what it was.
And you play with it for hours with your child hands, and then you eat it?
And then you eat it. And it was the most, in my mind, it's probably not that good, but at the time, as a little kid, that you could eat the Play-Doh.
Right.
Without
You were
getting
encouraged.
in trouble. Yeah. It was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
I wish I could taste that again, just to see if it was really that good.
Mm-hmm. Do we need crackers to go with that? No.
It literally looked like peanut butter, but it did not stick on anything. It was peanut butter playful dough.
Wow. Okay, so we need some more sustenance in there. I mean, the amuse-bouche is going to be the playful dough. It can't be the whole meal, though.
No, whole fish for sure.
So good.
I'm a big fan of whole fish, and I'm a really big fan of whole fish straight off a beach in Dominican Republic, or somewhere where it's an actual fisherman who went and caught it that day. And he's walking around with 5 or 6 fish in a bag and says, "Which one do you want?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he disappears for 15 minutes, come back with a cooked fish for you.
Oh my gosh, so good.
It is.
So good. With herbs and citrus and a cold beer.
It's simple, but amazing.
Mm-hmm. Are you a beer person?
I am.
Yeah, what beer should we have with that?
Ooh, if we're in Dominican Republic, I'd say a Presidente Light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Presidente Light. That's a good one.
It is.
That is a good one. Well, I have never sourced playful dough before, but I will absolutely do it for you. And maybe we'll have someone shape it into something cool for your dessert course or your amuse-bouche. But thank you so much for spending time with me today. It's been lovely. I saw dolphins and, beautiful marsh, low tide, egrets. It was a good day.
It was a good day.
And that's the show for today. This podcast is produced in-house by the Southern Fork, and the theme music is the song Memphis Bound from Songs for Rosetta by Jimbo Mathis and his Knockdown Society, released in 1997 and including violin on this track from Andrew Bird. Mathis, who generously allowed me to use this music here, has been my lifetime musical Pied Piper, and Bird, one of my creative catalysts, so I'm grateful to share their sound with you through this show. If you like what you've heard today, please send it to somebody you'd like to sit across the table from, and please support all the creators featured here. Until next time.